So yesterday, a new Fairy Tail game got announced out of nowhere. Koei Tecmo is publishing this, and it's developed by Gust, which I believe is an inside... Well, I believe Gust is an inside studio at Koei Tecmo, and this game is an RPG, which doesn't tell us much. That's a very broad term applied to many different types of games, but since this announcement, I've been digging for information, and I couldn't find much, but I'll share with you what I found. Everything we know so far about Fairy Tail. It's just called Fairy Tail, there's no subtitle. Not yet, at least. I think first you should know my thoughts on the Fairy Tail series, so you know what my bias is. I'm not a Fairy Tail fan. I tried, I really tried. I started watching the anime not once, not twice, 3 times. I give it 3 good shots, and I watched a good chunk of it, about 40 episodes on each run, I think. And it starts great. I love the premise. I love the world. Every time I start over Fairy Tail, I'm like, why did I drop this? This looks amazing. The characters are great, but then something happens and I can't quite explain it because I always drop off on the same moment. It's about that time where there's that villain dude who is also, it's the Steel Dragon or whatever, and he stops being a villain because I guess he looked like a cool character. There's a very bad explanation for why he turned good, and that was an immediate sign that things were not gonna go well for me. And then, you know what? I'm gonna stop bitching about it. I could go on about why I dropped it, but I'm sure there's a lot of Fairy Tail fans out there watching this right now, and I don't want to crap all over your favorite anime. I tried, okay? That's my point. So with that said, what do we know about this game? First of all, from the trailer, we know a few characters are gonna make it in. At this point, you've seen them scroll by. If you're a Fairy Tail fan, you'll recognize them. I know Natsu, Lucy, Erza, and that's about it. No clue who the others are, but if you are a Fairy Tail fan, hey, these guys are confirmed. And the trailer leaves us with 3 different words: magic, guilds, RPG. Now, this is more important than what it seems, because each one of these words is now a hint as to the type of game that we're gonna get. Magic is obvious. Fairy Tail is a show about magic. The powers these characters have are labeled as magic, and they join magical guilds, which brings us to our second point: guilds. Now, guilds could be talking about more than just a Fairy Tail guild. It could actually be an in-game system. I'm not gonna get too wild and speculative and say you can create your own guild and invite your friends over. No, that's a wild guess, and that's your job in the comments. My first thought when I saw Koei Tecmo in Fairy Tail was, oh great, another Musou. If you're not familiar, Musou games or warrior type games are a very popular genre where you pick a hero character and defeat a ton of small minions. These games could be considered RPGs. You do level up your character with different stats and sometimes equipment, and that's a big part of these games. Some people like it. I'd argue it's been done one too many times, and the whole genre as a whole seems repetitive, and it's like there's a reluctance to change the formula too much out of fear of displeasing the genre fans. But in my opinion, change up the genre, that would just make the formula a bit more interesting. So looking at Koei Tecmo and Fairy Tail, that was an instant turn off, but then I started looking into the developer, Gust. Gust is the studio responsible for the Atelier series. You've never heard of Atelier? Don't worry, they've only made a couple of them. One of the themes in Atelier is meeting new people and making new friends, a system that could be perhaps brought over to Fairy Tail. I believe that's what Guild represents. You're gonna build friendships along the way. You're gonna build friendships along the way as you recruit more and more people into Fairy Tail. I believe this will be more than just a story thing. I believe this will be a game mechanic, but we'll wait and see. And then we have RPG, which once again doesn't say much about how this game plays, but let's look at what the developer has made in the past. If you're not familiar with the Atelier series, maybe you're familiar with Blue Reflection? Anyone? The recent Atelier games and Blue Reflection actually have a few things in common. They are both RPGs, they both have a lot of anime ladies, and their combat is turn-based. Actually, as far back as I can remember, Atelier series has always been turn-based, I think. And this series is more than 20 years old. So for more than 20 years, this developer has been making turn-based combat. So at this point, I am pretty convinced we're not getting a Musou, but we're getting a turn-based RPG with Fairy Tail. Looking at a few frames in the trailer, you can see that enemies aren't even moving at all when being attacked, so that's another big hint that this will be turn-based. Though this kind of stuff can also happen in action games. When you do an ultimate or something, the enemy model just stands there and waits for it. And there is a possibility for this to be a bit more action-oriented, because Gust has also developed Knights of Azure. Now, Knights of Azure is very simplistic, but it is an action game. It happens in real time. So there could be some action in Fairy Tail, it could be a hybrid, At this point, there's just no way to tell, but fortunately, we won't have to wait long to find out more. Next week at TGS, there will be a panel dedicated to Fairy Tail, and more information will be revealed then. I'm going into that panel expecting a turn-based RPG. I think given what we've seen so far, that's the most likely scenario, but I'm also ready for any surprises. Fairy Tail is finally getting a game. It's a bit late, I would say. The anime is over. I feel like the hype around the series isn't nearly as high anymore, and the game is only coming out next year, at which point the hype might even be lower. But I'm happy for Fairy Tail fans. It's been a long time coming. And at the same time, if you're not happy, I mean, this was the game you guys voted for 4 years ago. Koei Tecmo put out this poll, and we were so close to getting a Hunter x Hunter game. I am so disappointed in you all, but also very happy for Fairy Tail fans. I sincerely am. Am I going to cover this game? Yeah. Fairy Tail is getting a console game, and it's not just an arena fighter or a Musou game. I'm interested, even if I'm not the biggest Fairy Tail fan. But what I'd really love to know is your opinion. I want to know how many people in this channel care about Fairy Tail. Let me know in those comments down below, and as always, thank you very much for watching. My name is Globku, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.